All right, Tyrese, we got to talk about it. It's time. And I know that
What
this is kind of like the Ben Simmons News Network Center here. If I had a
it's
little,
time?
if I had a little, kind of breaking news thing, I would play it. But nevertheless, we have got to talk about this Ben Simmons news because it is reported that Ben Simmons and the 76ers are working on a resolution to report to the
He's
team.
crawling back.
He's crawling back. A
Oh
submissive and
man.
breedable question mark? Are you talking about for the relationship, Sean? Yeah, I kind of
Oh
messed up
man.
with that. I should have went with a different analogy for that, but it is what it is for that one. Nevertheless, we do
Oh
have to talk
man.
about this Ben Simmons stuff. So
Yes, we
let
do.
me read what Adrian Wojnarowski said in his tweet and just kind of what he said in general. The 76ers and Rich Paul have progressed in the talks on a resolution to bring Simmons back to the team in the near future. Discussions are ongoing, and the plan is for the 76ers to continue to canvass the league for acceptable trades. Um, the 76ers, however, also want to convince Simmons to remain with the team long term. The chances have increased that Simmons will report to the 76ers over the past few days. With the Monday's preseason game, Simmons will move past the 1 million mark in terms of lost pay. So Tyrese, we've talked about it before on this channel numerous amount of times. It seems like the first person to cave in this relationship was Ben Simmons, and I think it's clear and obvious why he caved back. What are your thoughts on this Ben Simmons sort of news? I'll let you have the floor first, and then I'll kind of speak and do my
Okay, thank
soliloquy.
okay, awesome. Well, I just think Rich Paul is, he's getting tired of not seeing his checks come. Because I mean the guy missed out $8.5 million for not even just reporting to the Sixers or to Sixers camp. So, this they don't want this to become a long-term seasonal thing of not getting paid, especially Rich, because he's getting you know, he's one of the biggest free agents, or not free agents, I should say, but free, you know, um, people in the league who represent players. So I think, he just doesn't want that on his resume as representing players on, he kind of just doesn't reach out to teams and try to work things out. So I think
Hmm.
that's just what he's trying to do now. Um, but then again, you know, they might just be looking at it from a perspective of, if we hold out, this is hurting our value. Like you're not gonna, a lot of teams aren't gonna want you.
Hmm.
Like, so they could just be trying to fix a relationship that's broken already. But I mean, you can try, but I just don't see Philly as a city accepting him back. So I just can't see that. Yeah, he could play maybe 20 games and examine on what he worked on this summer.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what they're trying to discuss. But as him being there long term, 82 game season, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's just there to showcase of what he's worked on at different organizations to, get a package together to try to draw him to their team. But, I think this is just a trial with the Sixers to show other teams.
Yeah. I mean, my take on this whole thing, of course, this is a situation where Ben Simmons, he was, looking at the finances and he saw that, oh shoot, I can't make these car payments or like, there's a lot of stuff coming up and I
My
kind of need
Bel Air
that money.
Mansion payment.
Yep, mansion payment, there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff like especially when you're missing game checks. And you're going to be missing
$8.5
like
million. dollars.
8.5 mil. I mean, that's a lot of money to just
That's
kind of be like, especially with the lifestyle that he likes to live. If
yes.
he was gonna go
High
modest,
expensives.
yep, if he's gonna go modest means, then hey, you know what, you'll be fine. Missing out on the 8.9. But when you are
Yep.
consistently, spending the way that Ben Simmons does, you're definitely gonna be going back and reporting to training camp immediately. I just think that this
Yeah.
was a huge backfire on Rich Paul and Ben Simmons because, look, as much as I would love to, you know give players the benefit of the doubt, the player empowerment movement or the players empowerment movement. The problem with it sometimes is that it can also go the other way far and kind of be abusive at times with that type of power. And we saw that with Rich Paul and Ben Simmons. They were like, well, we're not going to report to training camp. You're not going to do anything to us. But then, the NBA PA and the 76ers worked it out, or maybe they didn't work it out, but the 76ers ran it by the NBA PA and be like, well, if Ben Simmons doesn't show up, do we have to pay him? And the NBA PA said no, we
Yeah.
don't. You don't have to pay him. And then that kind of led to the demise of it. But Simmons could realistically just be like reporting to training camp and then be like, my tailbone, like it just hurts, and just kind of get paid that way. And again, I think to me it's like the
Load
76ers.
management.
Yeah, load management. I still think to me the 76ers have all of the leverage as much as people want to say that Ben Simmons does. The reason why I think that the organization does is because look, they don't have to make a trade. They paid him the max money that he was owed for signing that rookie max extension afterwards. So they don't really have to give him a lot of money, or they don't have to give him another contract anytime soon. And they're not going to want to trade Ben Simmons for 15 cents to the dollar because
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is not happy there. And to me, my issue with Simmons is that like if you gave it your all, like if you literally just said like I'm giving it 1,000%, I gave everything to the organization. I just can't win here. I really respect the city of Philadelphia, but it just isn't working for me. Then I would be like, okay, you know what? Maybe he has a point. But the problem is I don't think that he has done that.
No.
And it's as simple as just him not working on his jump shot. And I hate to kind of bring it back to that simplest terms with Ben Simmons, and kind of like the simplest solution to his problem with Philadelphia right now. But it's like when you haven't done any of that stuff to work on your game to become the next best player, and you stay stagnant, a lot of people aren't going to be on your side supporting you. Like, there's a reason why a lot of people supported the James Harden move more so than anybody. Maybe not Houston Rockets fans, but the reason why they support it is because they saw the work he put in. He's won the MVP. He's, become this sort of all-star, all-NBA player. Meanwhile, you have Ben Simmons who, enjoys, being a great defender and an average offensive player.
Yeah, and I just to go back to this a
Yep, yep.
little bit, and he's Simmons just reportedly he arrives in Philly and he took his COVID test, so he's in Philly right now. I guess he just landed not
Oh,
too or a
nice.
couple hours ago. So yeah, then again, maybe Rich said, hey, he probably went to Michael Rubin and the other front management and probably just said, hey, like I'll talk to the news outlets on, I don't want to make it seem like because they talk to these reporters, like the headlines are everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like Ben Simmons isn't gonna come out and say like, "Oh, I'm sorry" and all this. Like he's just gonna go there and try to prove himself. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think the Sixers probably straight up told him like, "We can't. You just don't have any value right now. Like
Right.
I can't imagine the teams that are willing to dump to take well not dump but take on his salary
Mm-hmm.
for a whole year. There's just not a lot of teams who are willing to give up assets right now.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I just think it's more of a trial to show other teams of what he's worked on and
Mm-hmm.
maybe 20 to 30 games and then he's going to be gone somewhere, maybe like LA or maybe the Clippers. I mean, Kawhi's out. Maybe they trade Kawhi. Maybe they do trade Kawhi. Who knows? Maybe the Clippers look forward maybe 5 to 7 years from now and say, "Hey, Ben Simmons is young. Kawhi
Mm-hmm.
Leonard, 5 to 7 years from now, who knows how he's going to be in? Who knows? Maybe they do a swap. Um, because Kawhi is injured, we don't know how he's going to come back, and we don't know how Ben Simmons is going to be in 5 years. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think right now he's just showcasing of what he worked on to other teams. I don't
Yeah.
think this is like, oh yeah, Ben, stay with us. Like, they're probably portraying it like that, like the team really wants him, and the owners and
Yeah.
everybody probably talked to Joel and probably said like, when you go to the podium, just say like, you want Ben
Mm-hmm.
back and you really want him to play on the team, but probably Joel probably doesn't want him on the team for all we know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he has to say the right things.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys have to say the right things. And my thing
Yeah.
for this whole situation with the Ben Simmons stuff, I kind of said it time and time again. I really think that the bridge is burned between the organization and Ben Simmons. I think it's burned between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And I've been kind of saying this for the last couple of years now with Ben Simmons is like the guy hasn't yet shown that next step in growing and becoming that
He
player
hasn't.
that we wanted.
Nope.
selfishly, I wanted him to be like this Magic Johnson type of player because I see it.
Yeah.
Um, but I just think maybe the way that he was brought up, maybe as always being the best player, it's like why do I work on stuff to get better? In terms of like why am I working to get better if I'm already athletically gifted in that aspect? And I just think that has been kind of his Achilles heel is that maybe he's been the best player for too long that he hasn't really noticed that,
Yeah.
oh shoot, like now I need to change my game because
I,
his biggest complaint obviously was the fact that he's like, well, you're not really playing to my strengths. My strengths are I want everything out the way and let me just drive and attack the rim. And
exactly.
the problem is that yes, I can see you do that against the Utah Jazz one night out of the whole NBA year and do that. Like that's awesome. But I've yet to see that consistently from Ben Simmons. Like game to game, night in, night out, I don't see that consistent. Ben Simmons is going to put it in the hoop each and every night like a Giannis does or like any of these other players that play around the league. Like I don't see that from him. And I know that Gilbert Arenas was talking about it on his podcast. I know that, a lot of people are like, well, Ben Simmons just needs to be given an opportunity to play in the offense that he wants. And to me, it just reeks of like Paul George complaining about Doc Rivers not using him right. I just think that it's hard to kind of, to me, it's like it's hard to get those two guys, that being Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, to fit on the same team when they both want to do the same thing in the low post.
Yeah. I honestly like what you said. I think he's just used to doing everything and being the guy from when he was at
Mm-hmm.
Monteverde High School, and when he was at LSU. I mean, he was the main focal point. I just think I kind of feel like he has some type of Kyrie Irving thing going on. Like he just wants to be the guy and the focal point. Like he doesn't like other guys getting attention. Like I don't know, man. Like it just
Well,
doesn't make sense to why he would want to leave. Even though I understand like the city doesn't want him, but
uh-huh.
he's like not even trying to show up and like all that stuff. So it's kind of like, a lot of teams aren't going to want to trade for that because they don't know how you're going to be in the future if we trade for you and give you all this money. So I feel like he's in a tough spot right now, but to stay for a couple months or 3 months,
Yeah.
and then, they'll probably be able to trade him. He'll have some value. But right now he has no value.
Yeah. I mean, my
I'm
first,
like they would get some really cheap ass, like some really low tier
mm-hmm.
like guys in a return, like nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, my frustration with that though is that like kind of going. We'll do it from your perspective or like what your points were. It's like, it's like you want to be the guy. We obviously, you've said like I don't want Joel in there now. Um, my frustration, and more so than anything, is the fact that if you really want to be the guy, if you really want to be the person that like you want to be the focal point of the offense, you want to, galvanize the team, you want to, be the person that you want everyone to think you are, then work on the games that and work on your game and kind of make that change that you've been promising
Hmm.
people. And that's the thing that I've yet to see from Ben Simmons at this point. I like I said, I don't want to continue to harp on him all the freaking time, but at the same time, the reason why I have to make these points is because I get frustrated with Ben Simmons when it's like I know what you want and I know what the organization wants, but when you don't put in the work and effort, on your jump shot when they've been asking you to do this for years now,
Hmm.
to me it's like it's just going on deaf ears. And if I'm one of these
Yeah.
organizations, I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Like I honestly deep down think he just has no value right now for what they want in return. He just
Yeah.
doesn't. They have to teams like they have to see more. They got to see what he's worked on, man, because that's a lot of money. Like, and
Yep.
this is a guy who's willing to miss money
Mm-hmm.
just for not showing up to training camp. So imagine if I trade for you and something goes wrong and you don't play.
Yeah.
Jersey sales go down, all of that stuff because it all adds up.
Yep.
So ticket sell, so it's like he has no value. he's a solid player. He's not a scrub, but he's not to the standard that he thinks he probably is, or some executives think he is.
Yeah,
He's just a solid player, man. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but he's
yeah,
not worth no $40 million.
yeah,
Uh, no, in
yeah,
my opinion.
and that's the thing. It's like, for a solid player, I would rather pay like, 100 mil, or like,
Yeah,
80
he's
mil
he's to be honest, he's only worth like 17 to 18 million dollars. He's not worth. He's
total,
not.
or like a
To-
year.
oh no, 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 yearly. So that would roughly be. You see, he would probably get 17 and then maybe 21 at his fourth. So he's roughly to me worth around. He's like Marcus Smart money, damn near Robert Williams to me, like 60 to $64 million.
Oh damn.
He's yeah, to me he's a solid he's a solid defender, man, but shit. I mean, Marcus Smart could do more than what he can do. He can shoot.
Yeah.
He's not scared. I mean, that's what I would pay for him. They
Well,
paid way over for him.
well, to me, it's like I'd rather pay Gary Trent Jr. or like,
Yeah.
one of these other guys. Like, I'm not saying that Ben Simmons is a scrub. Obviously, like,
No.
I mean, maybe I'm going too much with Gary Trent, but what I will say about that though, more so, is that like, I know what Ben Simmons can do. Like, I know that he has the ability to do that stuff. My only situation, I just got the alert from ESPN about him arriving in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
Um, my concern with Ben Simmons has always been, you know, we trade for you, we pay you, we do all this for you, and it turns into a Darren Williams situation. And you got to really get to know these guys personally to know like whether or not they're really about that life, if they're about basketball, if they're about trying to do the right thing or trying to become you know the next superstar. And Ben Simmons, didn't really show that for these last couple of years. I always kind of made fun of him for like always being on FaZe Clan and doing all that stuff, and really focusing on the video game aspect of things, which is cool and all. But at the same
Yeah.
time, that's not your main profession. That's not what got you paid millions of dollars. I'm not saying that you got to, it's not like, I'm not saying like a shut up and dribble type of thing. But what I am saying is that like, you gotta back the money some way. Like, and doing the same thing over and over again is just the definition of insanity. Like, the 76ers aren't going to be wanting that same Ben Simmons from like 2016 to
Yeah.
2028, 29, 2030. Like, they don't want that type of Ben Simmons. They want a Ben
And, and
Simmons.
and it's not even just the team, it's the fans.
Yeah.
Like I have family in Philly, man. Like they don't want him back. Like they were disgusted. Like when they were up against the Raptors, I think it was in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and then they dropped the ball because Ben Simmons wasn't performing. Oh my God, they wanted him gone then.
Yeah.
Like not just the team, the city. Like they don't want him. When you don't have the city, your own fans wanting a guy,
Mm-hmm.
that's tough
Yeah.
because that means there's no more jersey buys, no more people coming out to watch on tickets,
Mm-hmm.
ticket purchases, all that stuff. So you're dropping revenues, and it's he's pretty much you want to trade him, but no team wants to trade for him because they have to see more.
Exactly.
So
And
pretty much this is like his audition.
yeah. And this is the
Yeah.
audition to see if you really, those YMCA videos, are they truthful when you're shooting them from like half court? And that's the thing that, a lot of
Yeah.
people, um, to me, like, I just get frustrated with that in just so many regards because, you look at a guy in Ben Simmons. We talked about it time and time again. I don't want to repeat it because otherwise I feel like we're just going to be talking for like 5 hours on the same point. But I do agree with you, man. It's like at some point people are going to just forget about Ben Simmons. It's going to be the
Yep.
Simmons effect where it's like, yeah, you're good, but you're not
What
trans.
you were
You're
supposed to be.
what's the word I'm looking for? You're not trans. uh Shoot, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Like, you're not gonna wow anybody. You're not changing the game in any sense of the word. Like when we talk
Yeah.
about like plays or teams, like those type of things. Like you're not doing that. And
Yeah,
I,
he's not gonna have any type of leap or, 25 points a game, 10
yeah.
rebounds, defensive, like it's not gonna happen.
Oh,
Like,
transcending was the word I'm looking
oh,
for. He's not
transcending. Yeah, he's
he's
not
not a transcending
transcending in the right
superstar.
direction.
Like no,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's one of those things like you keep looking at it and you keep thinking like, okay, are you gonna transcend the game? Are you gonna take it to the next level? And game in and game out, especially in the like I know we can do that in the regular season. I've seen it before. Like I've seen that same song and dance with him. The question has never been like, is he a good player in the regular season? The question has always been for those guys, especially going to the 76ers organization, can they get over the big hump and win the big games? And time in and time again, as the number one seed, they have shown that they are not ready for it.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, man. We're gonna be in for something very soon because the clock is ticking and it's almost that time for him to showcase. So we'll see. But I just think this isn't like a permanent stay. This is a audition. He'll probably be out in probably 20 games or less, probably even 10, just to show, other organizations what he worked on. Okay, are you
Mm-hmm.
shooting? Are you scared to even drive to the basket? It's a wide open lane. Like they want to see something. Because
Exactly.
when you're talking about a guy of so-called his caliber that the Sixers are portraying him to be, oh, he has to make a big leap to, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Those first 10 games, he better be averaging like 22 points a game,
Yeah.
7 to 8 rebounds, 3 steals. Like he better be all world because they're asking for like like a James Harden type package.
Right. And that's the thing, like, and you kind of were spot on with it, Tyrese. I just
Hmm.
kind of want to say a little bit really quick, just kind of to, breaking news somewhat, right? Ben Simmons reports to the Philadelphia 76ers. Adrian Wojnarowski said it. Tyrese kind of said it earlier in the show, but I just kind of want to read it and just kind of, reiterate what some of the points that Tyrese made earlier. He is in Philadelphia. He reported to the Wells Fargo
Yeah,
Center Monday night. He took his COVID test in the arena, so they obviously have to wait a couple days to wait for the results and stuff like that. I believe he's vaccinated, so that's a good sign for the
that's good.
76ers. They don't have to deal with some of the stuff that other organizations are dealing with at this moment. Uh, but at and this the Simmons, I should say, his arrival concluded several weeks of discussions between the organization and Simmons representative, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul. And that's the other thing I kind of want to bring up too, Tyrese, before we kind of end this topic and move on. I do want to talk about the players that got in trouble for the root canals. That was
Oh
ridiculous.
man, that was. It's like, is it even worth it for $4 million to go to like jail and have
Yeah.
your name
Mm-hmm.
discredited from everything? You can't
Yep.
even go on ESPN to fill in for Kendrick Perkins if it came down to it. Like for Big
Mm-hmm.
Baby Davis, like he's done, man. Like doing insurance fraud, like
Yep.
what was this from 2012? And it was like for like $230,000. It's like it's not even worth doing. It's
Yeah.
like he was making millions of dollars. It's like, how could you like I don't
Yeah.
understand that. Like he honestly deserves to get caught and like, get punished, dude, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I seen that. I think it was him and it was another Tony Allen, I think, as well.
Yep. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the only thing I wanted to kind of conclude with the Ben Simmons stuff is that, like, when I read this out loud and it says that, it arrives with the discussion between the organization and Simmons representative Rich Paul, it just kind of
Hmm.
goes to show me that Ben Simmons isn't involved in any of the discussions and the ongoing conversations. Like I understand that's why you hire an agent. That's what they're there to do. But at the same time, you also want to state your desires as well in person. Like it means more when I hear Ben Simmons be like, "Look, I've tried everything I could to win here at the organization, but I feel like my skills are being not appreciative, or if I feel like I can do better in a different place." And instead, it's just been like a game of telephone with Ben Simmons, with his
Yeah.
representative and Rich Paul and the 76ers organization. And, eventually you do have to talk to them face to face. Like, you're not going to be able to hide behind Rich Paul all this time, especially if you're wanting to get your money. It's like you're going to have to report to
Yeah.
training camp. And then you're gonna have like the awkward tension when you're there with Joel Embiid and the rest of those guys. Like, is are we gonna see like Simmons shooting by himself at the gym? Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's something we gotta look out for.
Just to chime in really quick before we move on. I don't know, man. Like Ben Simmons, he just doesn't have a motor to me. He just doesn't have that winning mentality like that dog. Like I just don't see how they think this guy's a next generational type of player. He's just not. Like just from emotion, like for one, he doesn't want to work on his game, obviously, and that's rule
Mm-hmm.
number one. And two, he's not coachable because he I don't know, man. Like I just yeah, I'm he's downgraded with me. I think he's on like the Chandler Parsons type route, man.
Oh
Like
wow.
he's gonna be getting booed. Like if even if somehow they can't trade him and he's there just sitting on the bench, if he comes in garbage time, he's just gonna get booed like Chandler did. That's what it's gonna be, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's because Philly's a cruel place, man. Like you see, they were burning his jersey after the damn series. Like they don't want him, man.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody does. You don't want to deal with a player that like, isn't really into like helping you win championships, isn't interested in working on his game.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the frustrating thing about it is like, they're not really um really there to he's not really there to, just to kind of end it. Like I just don't think that he's really interested in working on his game, working on becoming a better player, working on becoming an all NBA player. You know, Rich Paul, I think he does deserve some of the blame a little bit for this because I do think that he allowed Ben Simmons to think that he was on the echelon of like a LeBron James or like these great players that have gotten the supermax. Um,
yeah.
and the
Well, I mean, you can't really blame Rich, right? Because he's just the guy who's marketing his players, who are under contract with him. So he's a great marketer. You got to give it to him, but
yeah, I mean,
I think a lot of teams are going to start examining these players who he's putting a lot on, like Blazely and some of these other guys who he's putting a lot of stock in, and they're not even they're like they're not performing.
yeah, and what I
So I
meant more
think he could
so,
lose credibility.
and
Sorry
more
about
so,
that.
what? No, you're good. The only thing I was gonna say more so about that stuff is more so like, and I keep saying that. My thing with Rich Paul is that I think you need to be able to read the room. Like you need to be able to be truthful with your client and really I feel like dig into the numbers. Like, yeah, LeBron can tell you like, yeah, the 76ers, yeah, they'll pay for it. They'll don't worry about it. Like Ben Simmons, he'll be out there in no time. Whether he talks to LeBron or not. His line of thinking is that basically the organization, whatever organization he gets traded to, will be there. But really, the organization still has the power because they could literally just say, "We're not going to pay you," and they've
Yeah.
shown through this whole thing that look, we can call your bluff. Like you can want to trade, you can want out of here, but at the end of the day, we paid you, we gave you the max money, we've done our part to satisfy you in that aspect. Now, can you help us win games and win a championship? And Simmons obviously has his way, his type of feel that he has for them, and it's a frustrating one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. Like I I just think Ben Simmons is done. Like I just can't see how he can redeem himself, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's he could if he worked on his game, but I just think he's not fully invested in playing ball, man. I just seriously don't think so, man. Like he has the money now. He has a supermodel girlfriend. He's dated a Jenner. He has the clout. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's set for the rest of his life. If he has kids in the future, they're set for future generations. He has the endorsements. Like I just think he's not invested in putting more work into his craft.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, man. Like not showing up, missing money, not reporting, not communicative, shooting down your teammates who flew to LA. I think they fly to LA and he didn't even want to meet up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's like, I don't know, man. That's childish and like just like that's really not professional. Like it's he's not it just looks to me he's not fully invested in playing ball anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
Um, exactly. And let us know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this Ben Simmons news? Officially reporting to 76ers camp as of Adrian Wojnarowski as of 7:47 p.m. on the 11th. So
And I'll just add to this, if he really was, why is LA or a California team the only team? It just doesn't make any sense.
I
Like
think
there's
he'll
other teams.
widen his trade request, because I think at the end of the day, the damage has been done to the organizations. Both the player and the organization have kind of, they felt some type of way, and so we'll see officially, how it goes. But let us know in the
Yeah.
comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole thing? Is it something that you guys are interested in? Like, what do you guys make of this? Let us know in the comment section down below, because I'd love to know what you guys think of this whole Ben Simmons fiasco. Again, officially has reported to 76ers camp, and we'll see, whether or not he does the injury thing, or whether or not he plays and tries to show out his new set of skills. So again, let us know in the comment section down below.